Grab a seat, guys. We're going to get going. Test, check, test. Leia, have we got the red bucket with questions? No? You will. Just have a seat.
Check one,
easy,
check
boy.
one.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome to the, I call it the west side, I believe. I'm new to Maple Ridge, so forgive me. I don't know the hood as well as you guys. West End, okay. My name is Rick Dignard, and I'll be the moderator of the Meet Greet debate. So we're going to go with, beginning with the trustees. We're going to start with the trustees. Please, if you could, no speaking when they're speaking, and hold all applause till after they answer the questions. The questions will be drawn by them. There's a bucket of questions here that they will draw, and we will, hopefully I can read some of the writing. I'll do my best. They're going to be told when to stop by the timekeeper over here, and yeah, I guess we can get going. I am going to be reading from one trustee, Yvonne Desabray. I'm just going to be reading her intro. She's not here today. Said I would do that. I will be cut off at the 2-minute mark, so I'm going to read it for everybody to hear, and then I will be cut off. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, if somebody isn't here that you wanted to ask a question to, we have sort of a paper you can fill out to the candidate, your question, and you'll have to leave the contact that you want. So we'll make sure that the candidates that aren't here get those questions that you might have been interested in, okay? Make sense? We can do that after. Okay. This is Yvonne Desabray. I hope I got that right. We got the time ready to go? Okay. Tansy, I am Yvonne Desabray, a proud-to-be Cree Métis woman. I work as an Aboriginal support worker with School District number 42 since 2016. I am part of an amazing group of Indigenous ASWs who connect with Indigenous students daily. It is an honor to be able to connect with our students. I have volunteered for many organizations in Maple Ridge since I arrived in April 2000. School District number 42, 2000 to 2016. Parent Volunteer, 2000 to 2014. Aboriginal Education Advisory Committee member, 2007 to 2016. Aboriginal Education Volunteer, 2007 to 2016. Friends in Need Food Bank, Pitt Meadows Women's Center, Alouette Correctional Center for Women, for Port Honey Neighborhood Change Initiative. I was co-chair for the Port Honey Neighborhood Change Initiative Women, where we highlighted ways to address improving the area and increasing safety issues that are currently in place. A park on 223rd Street, traffic lights at the intersection of Callahan and the Haney Bypass, Fraser River All Nations Aboriginal Society. I was part of creating that society and then vice chair to bring more Indigenous dollars to our community organizations and to address gaps in resources for Inuit, Métis, and Native community workers of Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows. Aboriginal community member representative 2016. I was one of the signers of the School District number 42, 215 to 220 enhanced agreement, Haney Farm. Okay. Trustees, please come up and grab a card. What do we got, 5 of you? 5 if I did that right. That's a 1. Yeah, yeah. Just make sure you know your number, okay? So who's got number 1?
Before I begin, I'll just say I traded this card, so I've got some additional responsibilities in the district. I'm part of the DPAC Council, and there's a DPAC executive meeting at 7 o'clock. So in order to honor my responsibilities with DPAC and come here and speak with you tonight, I've just traded with my running mate, Johnny Day, for the number 1 spot. So I hope that's okay. And again, before I begin, when I do have to leave for 7, if there's any questions that you have or there's anything I haven't answered, please send me an email or call me, and I'll be gladly to answer it. Okay? Hello and good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on these unceded lands, which we are blessed and thankful for. As stated, my name is Brian Dominic, and I'm running for school trustee here in Maple Ridge SD42, and looking for your support and vote this evening. So why do I want to be a trustee in Maple Ridge? Well, as I've highlighted over the campaign, there's a growing sense of dissatisfaction in our public school system among parents, students, and even some teachers I've spoken with that, in my opinion, needs to be more responsive to the community, and I want to work to bring that to SD42. Homeschooling is on the rise, as is depression, bullying, and sadly suicides, accompanied by a laundry list of challenges directly related to the past 2 years that our kids are struggling with, and they need our help. Our children deserve better, so I'm calling for change within SD42 and asking for your vote on October 15th. I mentioned last night at WANAC that the current board has had 4 years to implement its plans, and although boast some big achievements, the facts on the above statistics remain. Now, that being said, I want to retract a little bit about what I said, saying that trustee incumbents, maybe haven't done what they promised to do in the last 4 years. There's no doubt that these folks care. They work hard. I've had an opportunity to get to know some of them throughout this campaign. I want to stick to the work that needs to be done. So I just wanted to clarify that. In fact, they've probably had to navigate some of the most challenging times in our education system over the past couple of years, and I thank them for their extensive work in this district over their tenure, but I do stand by my comments that we are in a worse state than we were 4 years ago, and I know because my kids have experienced it firsthand. Again, as a father, I'm appreciative of all the contributions, but Mike even said last night, listening is key. Yes, but action speaks volumes, and that's what I want to bring to the role in SD42 if I'm elected. So what would I bring to the position? And just, Ari, do you have a bell, Rick? The bell when we're done? Oh, 10? Okay. There we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Gladys Hewson, and I've lived in Maple Ridge all my life. I worked for this school district for 34 years, 12 in secondary school and 22 at Blue Mountain Elementary. I was on the QP 703 executive for 20 years, and I was a registrar for Ridge Meadows Minor Hockey for 30 years. I just retired from the school district last year. Why me for a trustee? I would bring my experience working at the heart of the public school to raise the pertinent issues that we face today. Things are not as rosy as we'd like to think, and we have a lot of students that are not getting the best education because the frontline workers, both staff and teachers, do not have the resources, tools to do their job adequately. Some would say this is a funding problem and out of our hands as it is a provincial issue. While that's true, it is still incumbent to our trustees to do more than simply lobby politely behind the scenes for more money from the province. Local trustees should work with parents and the community to highlight how our students are not getting the education they deserve. Only by making the public aware will the political pressures have an impact on the province to increase funding. I also have concerns with the lack of fundings for the maintenance of our buildings. Just as an example, we're not able to retain or hire the trades. We have no plumbers and must bring contractors to do the work needed, an added cost. I would also like to see before and after school care in the schools for students in all schools. I have seen firsthand the frustration that staff, students, and parents are feeling. Behavior is taking away from learning. Support teachers are being pulled from working with students to cover classes when there are no TOCs. This practice is taking time away from students. This time needs to come back to the schools. In closing, as a trustee, I will also fight for transparency and for the public board meetings. Thank you.
Just one sec. Just keep in mind the bell is a 10-second warning. Sorry. I meant to get that out before, but you had already started, so.
Evening. My name is Pascal Shaw, and I am a trustee with School District 42. And let me tell you, it's a whole lot easier when last time I was running, when I could criticize the trustees that were in place, than it is being a trustee and having people criticize what you're doing. I'd like to share with you why I decided to be a trustee, or why I ran 4 years ago. I was working in the public school system. I was working in Maple Ridge, and I was an education assistant. And I would come home almost on a daily basis in tears, crying. And it was because I was so frustrated with the fact that there were so many children in our schools that were not receiving the supports that they needed in order to be successful. And I was also crying because I would come home injured often, and I would witness children and fellow staff be injured on a regular basis. And I was tired of, and probably my husband was too, of me coming home complaining all the time, and I decided that I wanted to do something about it. So I decided to run as a trustee. And when I was elected, I had to resign because you can't be a trustee in the same district as you work in. So then I had to go look for another job. So that is how committed I am to trying to find ways to improve public education. So I would like for you to really research the candidates that before you vote. Find out why they're running. Find out their experience, find out what they think that they can do. I thought that I could fix education overnight. I didn't. But I want to continue to try to make changes. Thank you.
I'll get your cards when you're done, guys.
Good evening. My name is Johnny Day. I am running as an independent for Parents' Voice BC. I'm running because I see that more and more our educational system is being slowly eroded away. It's being replaced by corruption of special interest groups and their agenda. Our children are innocent and vulnerable. They need our guidance and our support. They are our future. We need to take back our schools, return the responsibility of the children's education to their parents, ensure that community values are reflected in our students' education, have trustees represent and support the parents and the community as well as the students, allow for more openness and transparency in our curriculum that's being taught in our schools. I was a widow, single parent with a daughter that I raised on my own. I enjoyed it. That was part of the journey. When you have children, to enjoy every moment of it, the good and the bad, and I did. My daughter was born with learning disabilities, so I was consciously working with the school to make sure that her needs were met. It was a bit of a struggle, but I got her through school. Now my daughter is married, lives here in Maple Ridge, and has 2 children. My grandson is 15, my granddaughter is 8.
Hi, thanks for having us here tonight. I'm Karen Redquich, and I'm an independent running for school trustee. So I'm a recent retiree of the Vancouver School Board, where I worked for 27 years. I started out as a QP15 member, where I worked as an office administrative assistant in an inner-city elementary school. And the last 6 years of my career was in the role of divisional advisor of employee services. During this time, I gained some very insightful knowledge of the complex inner workings of a school district. I feel that districts are currently facing these challenges: mental health issues, truth and reconciliation, gender diversity, inclusion, bullying, racism, supporting special needs students, long-range facility plans to accommodate increased projected enrollment, recruitment and retention of teachers, and lack of special teachers and support staff. We need to be constructively putting processes and supports in place to confront these unique challenges. How do we accomplish that? We first need to identify the complexities of these needs. We need to realize the implication that the decisions-making process and organizational strategies have on various groups that make up our school community, which are students, parents, teachers, support staff, management, and all union groups. By identifying these concerns and collaboratively finding solutions, we can start to then create those positive changes. This ultimately helps the school district move forward in a constructive and thriving direction. We need to start building relationships that afford open and transparent communication. We need to be accessible and approachable. We need to remember that the school district and the community are connected, and we need to strive to ensure that those partnerships are strong and honored. I myself would like to share the knowledge I obtained through my 27-year employment with the VSB in a way that would be a decisive asset to the role of school trustee and to be a part of helping create positive change and solutions. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to get one of you to come and randomly pick the first question. I ate the candy. who got number one? Okay. We'll start with Brian. Okay. What is your view on health information or treatments of any kind in schools, or should this be between parents and a doctor?
Can you repeat the question, please, Rick?
What is your view on health information or treatments of any kind in schools, or should this be between parents and doctor?
Okay. Well, I believe the age of consent in British Columbia is 14. So I think any health concerns or issues of a child in elementary school should be brought up with the parents. They should be included in that conversation, absolutely. When they get a little bit older, that's a good question. I think that parents should still be involved in what their children are learning or need to learn or need as far as support. Yeah, I absolutely think kids should have access to anything that they need in as far as health and wellness. Yeah, thank you. I'm good.
Okay. So, not sure who drew number two, the card number two. That's you. I'm sorry, don't have everybody's names. Forgive me. Gladys, it's your. You can answer that question. I can read it again if you want.
I think it is the parent's choice if they want to bring any health concerns to the school, but they must remember if the school is aware of it, perhaps there is a support that can be put in place to help that child. And when the child is old enough to be forward with that information, I hope the parent is also involved. Thank you.
Whoever had number three?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What is your view on health information or treatments of any kind in schools? Or should this be between parents and family doctor?
I think health information and the second part are two different things. I think as part of the curriculum, there is a health component. In terms of treatment, we don't provide treatments at school. Maybe if you have a cut on your arm or something. But health education is part of the curriculum. It starts early on, but any kind of treatment is not in the purview of the school system.
Whoever had 4?
Could you repeat the question, please?
What is your view on health information or treatments of any kind in schools? Or should this be between parents and their family doctor?
I think that if it is something superficial, like a cut or a scrape, that it's not something that the parent, well, you should be aware of it, but my mind's going a blank here. For serious matters, I think that if the child is not of proper age, the parents and the doctor should be involved. And if they are, well, the child has a right not to have the parents and doctor involved, but I would like to think that they would confide in doing that, but they don't have to. They have their rights.
Okay.
Hi. I agree with Pascal that there is a health component in the school systems that the students go through, which I think is great. When I worked in the elementary schools in Vancouver, I was the first aid attendant. So our job was to look after the students. We had one boy who ran into the wall head first at us in the gym. And our first priority was getting that boy first aid treatment. We called the ambulance first, the fire department came. We, made sure he was I had my hands wrapped around his head, to prevent him from getting further injuries. And then we did call the parents. But our first priority, and I think it should be, the health or the safety of students, is to look after the students. Parents should also be involved when it comes to doctor decisions and that. Of course, that's between you and your doctor and your child. But we do need to look after the safety of our students first.
Okay, that's the field. We'll get somebody else to draw the next question for the trustees. Okay. So
Pass.
let me just, yeah, okay. What role does the candidate believe the BCTF has in enforcing divisive political ideologues that parents are protesting?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I'll share a quick example and then with relation to the question, then answer it. I find it interesting how during this campaign, there was a complaint logged with Elections BC that someone who is just part of an organization was distributing my campaign material. Yet, you have large organizations and big, powerful unions influencing voters through official documentation throughout this entire campaign. So I do find that a little bit of a double standard. And I would say that the BCTF, actually they're one of my neighbors. The MRTA is my neighbors at Voltaire. But I would say the BCTF should keep to the relations and the responsibilities that they have between the teachers and their union and their responsibilities as teachers, and maybe not exercise personal opinions about candidates or political parties. I do think that that probably should stay within their own doors. Thank you.
Okay, so you're up for the same question. You want me to reread? Okay. So what role does the candidate believe the BCTF has in reinforcing divisive political ideologies, that parents are protesting? What role does the candidate play?
Well, I think the candidate's main concern is making sure that the children get the support they need to be successful. And I don't think it's up to anybody besides the student, the parent, and the school.
So no questions from the audience right now. So it's basically what role do you believe that the BCTF has in reinforcing?
I know what the BCTF,
Yeah.
they have none. They support the teachers if they have a union concern. But it's between the teacher, the student, and a parent to make sure there's a correct support in place to make that child successful.
Thank you.
So
Reread it?
I was going to say, I'm going to admit after hearing two answers and hearing the question 3 times, I still don't understand the question.
Yeah, no, I can read it again. Maybe I'm
Okay.
not reading it well. What role does the candidate believe the BCTF has in reinforcing divisive political ideologies that parents are protesting?
I'm not understanding why.
The BCTF, what
Yes,
role
no,
do they have?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why this is a question, because the BCTF has nothing to do with running for trustee.
Okay.
When you become a trustee, of course, the BCTF is a big thing in your life, because
That's probably where you would take off with this should you win, right? So
Okay,
they're asking
so-
you now because you're a candidate.
So my answer to your question is that I don't feel that the BCTF has any role in my running for a trustee. Is that the right?
No, what parents are protesting. It's about what
I-
parents are protesting. So if parents are protesting, what role does the BCTF? That's the way
Has
I'm
no
reading it.
role in why I'm here today or why we're here today. They have no role in this at all.
Okay, that was the question, so
Okay.
I'm just asking you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't believe they have any role whatsoever in this. They were put into place to do a job, and this is not one of their jobs. This is left up to the parents, the child, and the teachers. But this is not their job.
Thank you.
So, yes, I know we've heard this question probably 10 times, but just if you could
Again,
please.
yeah. So what role does the candidate believe the BCTF has in reinforcing divisive political ideologies that parents are protesting? So what role would the BCTF have in parents protesting
Okay.
at a school for whatever reason?
Okay. Yeah, the BCTF, of course, represents the Teachers Federation. I mean, there's no room for their political ideologies to be, sent throughout the school, right? If there's platforms that they can use to promote what they feel is right and wrong. They shouldn't be emailing parents. They shouldn't be handing out literature in schools. They are going to differ with parents' things, and I mean, that makes for great debate and great conversations, but they should not be using the schools as a political platform to make distribution of materials.
Okay, thank you, group. I think that was all we had time for, was 2 rounds of questions. So I guess we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be moving to councillors and mayors. Thank you very much for your views. Oh, do we have time for like a closing announcement? Does it look like we have time, whoever's renting the building? Because if we do, we can give everybody a minute or something. Okay, let's do a minute. Okay, so if we want, can we start like we started, where Brian starts and, okay, everybody's got a minute to say whatever they want, and then we'll have to switch over to the other group.
Perfect, because my call starts in a minute. Thanks, everyone, for the opportunity again. Some of my priorities, if elected, would be making sure kids are getting enough physical activity, something we haven't talked much about, that teachers and parents have expressed concern over. Measuring the effects of lockdowns. People blame COVID, but COVID didn't do this. The government has locked down our children, and we need to figure out what impacts of those lockdowns our children are still dealing with. Some of my pillars are, as far as funding and focusing on fiscal responsibility, communication, giving parents a voice back in our schools. And so if you align with any of the values of myself or Parents Voice BC, support with the transparency, accountability, communication, family values, the parents as being the primary input for your education, then please vote for myself, Brian Dominic, on October 15th. And I thank you all very much and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
I don't know how to follow that one. I believe in true transparency, and being an ex-employee with this district for 34 years, I see what's going on in the classrooms, in the schools, and we certainly do need support. I am outspoken. I will take your concerns to the board. Nothing cannot be talked about. I'm hoping I can get your support. Again, I'm willing to talk about anything with anybody and bring it to the board, and I would like to see all public board meetings that the parents can be engaged with the trustees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those questions were unfortunately not the best questions, but I didn't pick the question. So I thank you for coming here tonight. I think I mentioned before only 33% of Maple Ridge voted in the last election. So the fact that you're here tonight shows that you care. Please research the candidates before you vote. Find out who you're voting for. I would like your vote, Pascal Shaw. I'm going to be down near the bottom. I'm passionate about children and education and all of the people who have chosen education as their field. And I would like to fix education. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I work in it. I know what's going on. I know what needs to change, and I want to be a part of the change. Thank you.
As I've said earlier, we need to have more openness in regards transparency to the education. The parents need to have a voice. They are unhappy. They are angry. They don't like what they see. And as a trustee, I feel that my job is to be a champion for the parent and for the children, listen to their needs, bring it forward, and make it heard loud so that people will rethink what they're doing. I have 2 autistic children who have unique learning needs, and I am a champion for that. I would like to bring to Maple Ridge a program that was started in Surrey, in which ABAs are brought into the school to be support workers for the autistic children. It's a great program, and it's one that I endorse heartily.
Having worked at the VSB for 27 years was an amazing experience. The public school systems are fabulous. I had the privilege of working both as a part of a union and part of kind of the district senior management team. So I got to see both sides of how things work. I saw things that did work, that really were fabulous, and I saw things that didn't work. And I also saw things that can't work. So I think I do bring that knowledge base to the district, or I can bring that knowledge base to the district in hopes of helping to make change. I want to hear people's voices. I think that's so, like I said, the school community is made up of parents, students, teachers, everyone. They all have a voice, and I want to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I just ask you to return your cards that you had originally, whoever still has their card? Thank you. Okay, everybody, we're just going to take a 5-minute break and organize for the councilors and mayors. Thank you.